DoCrew. We are in November. We're at November. Okay, so we're like the end of the year is just approaching so fast. Let alone the end of each month. It's just been absolutely insane how fast time flies, especially as you get a little older, right? It just seems like time is going faster and faster, and I think that the world itself seems to be spinning a lot faster these days than they have with everything that we have at our fingertips, right? The technology is just like incredible how fast technology is expanding and growing, and that's where we've got to take advantage of that because there's so much available at our fingertips to help us do more with less. And I think that's in part what makes time go by even faster. but but it's a double-edged sword because we need to keep up with everybody else in our industry too. And there's a lot of agents that are using technology to work their systems and work their businesses and grow their businesses to be where they want to be. And I know I've talked about creating a business planning workshop for a number of weeks now, and every year I talk about it. And I've done a number of business planning workshops in the past, and it's usually a couple 3 hours that it takes to really go through a workshop and have everybody work through their business plan. Well, I found a tool to help us get through our business plan in probably 30 to 60 minutes tops. I think we can get this done in 30 minutes. We're going to run through the process and do a fictitious business plan unless somebody wants to volunteer their information. But you got to gather your data for yourself, and expect anybody to want to share your data. But you never know. Sometimes people are like, I use mine, and then their business plan is going to be completed by the time we finish this call this morning. But I'm going to give you the example, and then I'm going to give you the tool to take home with you, basically, to do this on your own. And it's probably going to be no surprise, but it's a AI prompt for ChatGPT. Another prompt. Well, I'll tell you what. I keep finding these prompts, and there's a bunch of amazing ones that I've gathered that I haven't even put into use yet. But if you have the right prompt, it's really going to make a huge impact in your business and what you're trying to do. So I've got one here that is a business planning prompt that I just picked up earlier this past week, and I ran through it, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is like so simple. I am all about simple, right? You guys know me now. I am all about simple, and my business planning model for most of my years have been to follow the one spreadsheet that I know that I've shared with you time and time again, where I just plug in my numbers and it tells me how many leads I need, and basically, I already know a lot in my head. I wasn't the best at tracking, but I always knew. If I did a mailing, it's like, okay, I knew if that mailing worked or it didn't work. I knew if I was getting results, what I was doing was working. If I wasn't getting results, I knew it's not working. I need to change it up. And I could always look at my numbers for the month and say, okay, you know what? Yeah, I didn't do as much business as I planned on for this month, so now I got to step it up, right? And that was always the way that I worked, and it worked out well for me. Um, but I've got let me share my screen, because we will have to go through this quickly in order to get it done and have you guys see everything by the time we're finished. So, and what I'll do is I will be able to share a link to this when I'm done. So that way you will get this actual plan that we create, and then you can just copy and paste the prompt. All right, it's going to be real simple. I can't make it any easier for you guys to be able to go through and do this. So let's go ahead and share my screen. All right, there it is. So here's the prompt. All right, so you want to remember, you always want to give ChatGPT or whatever platform you're using, you want to give it a role. So in this case, we want it to act as a strategic business consultant specializing in real estate performance optimization, data analytics, and integrated goal planning. You have deep expertise in translating business metrics into actionable strategies while maintaining a work-life alignment and harmony. I actually changed a couple words. So the objective here, and that's what you can do too, is when you get this prompt, you can modify it. You can change it up to fit more of what you need. The objective is to develop a comprehensive, personalized 2026 business plan for a real estate professional and they're, Brian, you just take out real estate professional and you put, mortgage lender. Okay, that prioritizes measurable performance tracking and harmonizes business success with personal fulfillment. Required components. Now, I'm not going to go through all these components. There's a whole bunch of components here. I don't need to read all this to you guys. It goes on for quite a while, but these are the components that it wants. So you look through the components and see, does it have what you need? Is there something in there that you're like, I don't need this? Take it out. Okay. Add whatever components you might want. See, as you can see, the components are pretty long, so that's why I'm not going to read all that. And then the discovery process is, before creating the plan, conduct a thorough discovery by asking targeted questions one at a time. Okay, gather information about specific sales, income targets, current performance baseline, and historical data, personal priorities and non-negotiable commitments, market context and competitive positioning, resource constraints, technology proficiency, and existing goals. Learning style and accountability preferences, definition of success beyond financial metrics, and then deliverable standards is the final plan should be specific, actionable, measurable, and tailored to the realities of the 2026 real estate market. It should account for economic conditions, industry trends, and emerging opportunities while remaining flexible enough to adapt to changing circumstances. Begin the discovery process by asking your first clarifying question. I bet you it took longer to create this prompt than it does to create the actual business plan. All right. So let's go ahead and let's get started with this. So now it's thinking. All right. All right, here we go. Awesome. Let's architect this right. First up, what's your 2026 financial North Star? Okay. Your target gross income and your desired net take home after expenses. So if you don't have exact numbers, you can give ranges. Okay. This anchors every KPI, conversion, benchmark, and quarterly sprint we design. So I'm going to try to I'm going to keep this just as simple as I can. I'm going to tell it, let's go ahead with 200,000. Okay. Whoops. 200,000 is our financial, let's just call that GCI, and a desired net take home after expenses. Let's go ahead and say 150K net. All right. All right, perfect. That gives us a solid foundation. Next, to reverse engineer this 200,000 goal, I need to understand your current performance baseline. Could you share your 2025 or most recent full year metrics, specifically closed transactions, excuse me, closed transactions. Let's go with let's just say 15 closed. An average price point. Let's go with I hope the math comes out, but average price point, let's go ahead with 500K average. And there we go. Okay. Well, let me do this. Let me go back here. And then I always, when I'm responding to what they have numbered, I go ahead and number my responses. Okay. Okay. Total listing side versus buyer side. I want to say 60% list, 40% buy. Okay. And then current conversion rate, if known. Yeah, so this is tough. I mean, what is your conversion rate? I don't know that too many people actually track this. But let's just say your conversion rate, lead appointment, appointment client, client close, deal. Um, let's just say 1 in 100. Okay. Because I know you need a lot of leads, right? And I don't have the exact number or science of how many, but you can actually do a research on that and probably get an answer. Average number of leads generated monthly. Okay, so I don't know, what did I do? I probably um, let's keep 30 leads, a lead a day. Okay. If you don't have precise numbers, estimates are fine. I'll use them to build. Okay. So there we go. So now we've answered that question. Okay. So it created the average GCI percentage. So that's the commission rate and everything else. So um, with a 1%, so that's 3 to 4 transactions sourced directly from lead generation, meaning the rest are just likely past clients, referrals, or organic SOI. So now to align 2026 with both measurable growth and lifestyle harmony, let's calibrate your personal priorities and non-negotiables. What are your top 3 to 5 personal priorities or non-negotiables for 2026? So like vacation time, health and fitness, family events, mentoring, teaching. See, it's pulling some of the information because ChatGPT knows me, so it's also making suggestions based on information it already has about me. See, I already talked about my vacation time, my health and fitness, my family events, my mentoring and teaching, and reducing and creative projects. This is all stuff that I use. So this is like, so I'm just going to copy and paste that. I mean, whatever applies to you, um, is what you put in there. All right, so perfect. That paints a clear picture for 2026. To keep the business plan authentic and achievable, I now need to understand the operating context, the market and resource foundation we're building on. How would you describe your market position and business structure right now? I don't remember this question. All right, what geographic markets and price points do you primarily serve? Oh, actually, I do remember this. Yeah, I think I use Winter Garden, but let's go ahead and let's just put Orlando. Okay. Orlando price point. Um, what's the median price point in Orlando? I think it's like around 450, isn't it?
That's exactly
Yeah.
what I was going to say.
What's that?
That's exactly what I was going to say. 450.
Okay.
You're
Good.
doing great.
All right.
I was throwing that
So
out.
and then it asks if I'm solo or partnered or as a team. So I'm just going to put solo. And then how would you describe your competitive advantage or brand edge? So like your negotiating skill, marketing expertise, teaching credibility, local reputation, etc. So remember what I put down for that, but I would say very competitive. I didn't spell that right. There we go. All right. There we go. Excellent. That gives me a strong sense of your environment. You're a solo agent in the Orlando market, 450, competing in one of the most agent dense most agent dense, marketing savvy markets in the US. Get that, guys? I mean, that's where we're at, right? And that means your 2026 plan must lean on efficiency, differentiation, and automation, not raw hustle. See, I like that, right? Everybody preaches hustle, hustle, hustle. And the reality is we need to be efficient and we need to differentiate ourselves from others and then rely on automation. Okay, before we start designing your KPI framework and conversion optimization models, I want to understand your resource capacity and technology stack so we can align tools with your comfort level, not overload you with tech that won't stick. Next question, what does your current tech setup look like? Please include the following. So, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'll use Lofty. That's my new one. Marketing platforms. So yeah, we use Canva. I use Big View. CapCut I have used, but I don't rely on that. Meta Ads Manager. So Facebook ads. Well, actually, yeah, I guess they want the Meta Ads Manager. There we go. They want the tool. They don't want the platform, and so on. So there's probably a few more. Let's see. And for number 3, we want tracking or analytical tools, so spreadsheets, dashboards, Notion, etc. So tracking is much uh, using spreadsheets and Hurdler. We're tracking a lot of stuff. And your general tech comfort level. So for me, I'm very comfortable with tech. Okay, so let's go with that. Excellent. That's a strong modern foundation. Lofty gives you solid CRM and pipeline automation potential. Canva and Big View handle content and video. Meta Ads fuels and Hurdler covers financial tracking. That means we can confidently layer in AI, KPI dashboards, and predictive analytics without reinventing your workflow. Before I build your KPI and goal alignment structure, I need to round out the personal side because your plan will integrate business growth with lifestyle metrics. When you think about success beyond income, what outcomes matter most to you in 2026? For example, time freedom, working fewer hours and fewer weekends, impact, mentoring agents, teaching more, legacy, brand recognition. Yeah, so these are these are all stuff I used on the last one. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this because that really does all apply to me. And so I'm just gonna, for the sake of time, I'm gonna just go ahead and use that. All right. So here we go. Outstanding. That gives you a real dimension and purpose. You're not chasing more work. You're building more meaning, mastery, and margin. Look at the word mastery, guys. And that's something we've talked about in the past. And that was, from Ninja Selling, we learned a lot about mastery. And I'll bring that back again because you know what? We need to, part of being more efficient with our time and everything that we do, mastering something is so much more important than some of the other things that we do that just don't require our time. So we're gonna dive more into that. But we now have enough to start defining measurable systems that connect your financial target. Before I build the architecture, I need one final discovery layer: your capacity and constraints, the practical limits that shape your growth strategy. What are your current time, team, and budget constraints for 2026? How many hours per week you realistically want to work? Okay, so again, you need to be realistic with this. All right, and it doesn't need to be 50, 60 hours a week. Now, that is an expectation of me when somebody's building out their business. They might need to do 50, 60 hours a week. The reality of this business is very demanding. There are going to be many weeks where you're working 50 or 60 hours a week, but the goal should maybe be working, 40 hours a week. It should be a full-time gig, but have that flexibility because, there's going to be weeks maybe you only work 20 hours. And when you think about that too, is really, take the time to think about how much you're really working, not just the time you're putting in, but the time that you're working. So hours per week. So for me, my goal, 30 hours, because as I said, I'm like so close to retirement. I won't fully retire, but you know, maybe in 2027 that 30 will become a 20. Okay. Because I won't stop working, but I will reprioritize my time. Um, any admin, virtual assistant, or marketing support that you have to plan. Yes, we're working with two different virtual assistants right now. One is working with like SEO and our video stuff, and another is working with our admin, not our website, and doing our workflows and such. So saving me a ton of time right now. So I've got two VAs. I mean, VAs. All right. Approximately marketing budget per month. Um, the marketing budget varies per month, and off the top of my head, I don't even know what our budget is because I change it up because like if we get good results, I might keep it the same or add a little bit more to it. If it's not getting results, I might go ahead and pull it. Right now, I'm not currently running any Facebook ads, but I do plan on getting back in there as soon as I get the back end better prepared for what we're doing. But we're still probably spending. I'm going to say about um, we'll say about 750 a month, and that's light. That's light, guys. When you're thinking about your budget, that if somebody sends you a referral, you're happy to pay 25 or 30% of that referral, right? So if the referral has a potential of a $10,000 income, you're giving away 2,500 to 3,000. Think about how far that 2,500 to 3,000 would go in marketing yourself and doing lead generation. Okay, so you gotta look at things that way. It's not what you're spending; it's what you're investing into your business. All right, so this will help me design your resource efficient KPI tiers and your quarterly execution roadmap so that your plans will fit your lifestyle bandwidth. And now keep in mind, when I did this for myself, I had a calculator. I did look back at what I did, and I was making the numbers fit. We're just pulling numbers out of thin air, and it's gonna make those numbers. So here we go. So um, so we've got let's see here. So perfect. So that powerful set up 30 hours per week, two virtual assistants, 750 a month marketing budget. At this point, I have everything needed to construct a comprehensive data-driven plan. Boom. Here's what they'll build next is a 2026 real estate business plan, performance with purpose. Okay. Sections include, okay, all these different sections. And before I generate it, would you like it as A, professional report style, ideal for printing, B, as a dashboard style action guide optimized for execution and weekly use, or C, a hybrid version, report and embedded action template, perfect for ongoing tracking. So, and there's different platforms that you can use to track this, right? So you can utilize a really good Excel spreadsheet, or you can subscribe to a platform, I guess like Notion would be one that you can subscribe to and be able to have a tracking system set up in place. I know in OneNote, I use OneNote, but not for my tracking, but you can get a template for tracking all this stuff in OneNote. So you probably have the platforms already that you're using part of it, whether you have Microsoft Office, whether you're using the Google platform with Sheets and all that. It probably has that. But what I want to do is I'm just going to go with A for now because I want to keep it simple. And sometimes sometimes it has ChatGPT has issues with trying to create a downloadable document. And so, for the sake of time, I don't want to have to deal with the potential fallout of that. Which, I still, if it doesn't give me a proper link to download a printout, I will keep working it and telling it until we come up with a reasonable solution. Sometimes it ends up being, well, give me what I need to just copy it and paste it into a Word document. So let's see here. Let's see what it puts out. And actually, I got through this a lot faster than I thought I would. Who did we lose? I guess we lost Bridget. All right. So I'll design a 2026 strategic business plan, performance with purpose, as a polished, data-driven executive report tailored for a solo agent in the Orlando market, integrating all 7 components you outlined to ensure it's fully personalized. Before I finalize, one last question. How would you like the tone and positioning to the plan of the plan to feel? Choose the style that best matches your personality and brand voice. So analytical and precision driven, inspirational and strategic, or executive hybrid, which is a balanced mix of professional analytics and inspiring leadership tone. Reads like something you'd present to a high level mastermind or speaking audience. Once you choose, I'll produce the complete report. So I don't know. Typically for myself, I would probably just choose 2. I'd want it inspirational and strategic for myself. Um, but I think for the sake of the mastermind, so like if I was teaching this in a class, I'd probably go with 3, um, and see how it comes out. Because a lot of times when it gives me the option, I will go ahead and choose that and let me choose the option. So here we go. 2 different responses, and I get to choose which response. So as you can see, the 2 different responses are a little bit different. So this is the executive hybrid, okay? And then this is the style. This is professional, data, smart, and inspirational. This is the executive boardroom ready and soul aligned. So for me, I'd rather have more of these type details. Of course, I want to keep it as short as possible, but at the same time, I want that one. So I just chose it. And then would you like me to include real numeric benchmarks and conversion goals in each section? Yes. All right. Okay, so a little bit more information, but before I produce the document, okay, do you want the final deliverable in a standard markdown format, readable directly in ChatGPT or Notion, or B, as a downloadable formatted PDF report ready for print or digital sharing? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and just say B. Okay. All right. So to ensure the final design reflects your brand identity, please confirm these 2 details before I generate the report. Um, so for branding, I'm like, no, this is for me. And then for the second item, it's design style. So option A is a clean corporate, white background, blue, gray accents, modern layout. B, luxury, modern, dark header bands, gold, white contrast. So if you're working in the luxury market, even though nobody's going to see this but you just want everything to feel luxurious, right? So that's probably have better fonts and so forth. Option C is a balanced hybrid. Uh, so I'm usually more of a balanced type person. So give me a combination of both. All right. So, okay, they're going, giving a summary again before I generate the file. One last optional check. Would you like me to include a one-page executive summary at the front, highlighting your 2026 vision, targets, and guiding principles for quick reference and sharing with accountability partners? And I'd be like, yes, absolutely. All right. Now it's telling me what it's going to produce for me. All right. Please confirm that this is what I want. And do you want the report dated specifically? Or shall I title it? I want to confirm. And I'll just go ahead and copy, paste. There we go. All right, so it's generating it now. Let's see, perfect. Your final delivery will be titled, all right, a data-driven framework for sustainable success and personal fulfillment. It will include the executive summary, all 7 major components, numeric benchmarks, and a quarterly executive roadmap, formatted as a professionally designed PDF report, balanced hybrid aesthetic. I'm ready to generate it now. Please confirm, would you like me to display the PDF here for immediate download or now? So gonna put display the PDF. See, and take a clue from this, guys. All right. Questions get to the root of everything. So when you're working with buyers and sellers, okay, be prepared with questions so that you can get to the root of everything. All right. Because you might think, okay, we're ready to go, but it's a Columbo thing. Oh, just one more thing. I think that's what he used to say, right? Anybody familiar? Remember Columbo? Okay, I
The
guess I'm
only
dating
one here who remembers Columbo.
myself. That's pretty bad. Yeah, he always finished his investigation and walking away, he turned around. Oh, and just one more thing, you know? So as you can see, it's still analyzing. There we go. All right. So it's going to download the PDF. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and download it to my downloads. There it is. Oops. All right. So there it is. Okay. So he's got the executive summary. I need to achieve 18 transactions for about an $8 million volume with a balanced mix of listing and buyer. Increase lead to appointment conversion from 1% to 3%. Okay. Enhance client experience to drive 40%, plus referral business, and maintain 2 dedicated vacation periods and 2 personal retreats per year. Grow brand influence through teaching, speaking, and creative content. So here's my KPI chart, the architecture, leads, minimum, target. And if I want to stretch myself, I set a 30 a month, I should shoot for 50 a month. Okay. The target should be 40. Because, whenever we set a target, we could end up falling a little bit short or, or if we're heading towards our target, we want to stretch ourselves. So you've got all your different metrics here, and you've got your minimum, your target, and your stretch. Okay, you've got your conversion optimization framework. Okay, where you can funnel the diagnostics focus. All right, so again, sample optimization tactics. You got tracking infrastructure, integrated goal framework, quarterly execution roadmap, accountability systems, AI enhanced intelligence, different things you can do there. All right, so that is a basic business plan. Now, what I'd like to do, let me go back and find where that option was. Okay. It's funny because even the one that I did for myself came out looking a little bit different. I'm just trying to figure out where we changed the formatting. But anyway, that is I'll try to find that as we get into this. But that is, look, we got that done in 35 minutes. Okay. Now, what I would recommend that you do is, you have your data, okay, and you use a calculator to determine, don't just pull numbers out of thin air like, oh yeah, I want to earn 200,000, and I want a net 150. Have the dollar amount. If you want to get to 200,000, well, what are the metrics that are going to get you there, right? What is your, you got to look back at what you did last year. So, and I answered some of these questions a little bit differently. So maybe that's why I got a few different results in finished product. But you want to go ahead and utilize your numbers, right? And have those accurate for last year, and then have your goals clear for next year. As far as, if I want to do 200,000, okay, and my average sale price has been 600,000. Right, what is it going to take? My average commission was, X amount. I won't even go into, commission dollars here for sake of issues, but look at what you did. And then maybe, you look at those different metrics like, okay, yeah, you know what? Maybe the commission I earned last year was a little lower than I would have liked to earn. So now you got to look at, well, what do I have to do to get that commission level up? So if you want to do a less units for the year, but you still want to earn that same dollar amount or that new dollar amount, then, yes, you're going to have to look at, all right, so that I got to raise my average price and I've got to raise my commission. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put all this into chat. All right, let me stop sharing. And let me open chat. And let's see here. Does everybody have access to the chat? Why is it doing that? Type of message. Huh. I should be able to put an attachment in the chat. Let's see if I can drop. No, can't drag and drop. Do this. Okay. Nope, that ain't working. Let's try copy. Let's try paste. Wow. Can't put an attachment in the meeting chat. How bizarre. All right, I'm going to have to look into that. I don't know why. All right, so what I'm going to do is for everybody that was on here today, I'm going to go ahead and send you a direct email with all this stuff as attachments. All right, so that way you've got it. I'd rather do that than post everything into the Facebook group, because I feel like, I want you guys to show up. I don't want to keep posting all the replays and not have people show up. So I'll go ahead and get all. But anyway, questions on that, comments. I mean, does it make sense? All right, and I'm also gonna throw in there. I cleaned up the for those that remember my incomes. What is it called? The income statement or income strategy, where's the Excel spreadsheet. I cleaned that up to take the royalty fee out, and I will go ahead and include that in the email as well, so that you guys have that, because that to me is an awesome tool. That is all that I've used. In years past, which is again very simple. Your business plan does not need to be complex unless you're a very high C and very analytical. Then yes, you might want a bigger a bigger plan. But for most of us, especially most of us in real estate have ADHD. It's like no, we got to keep it short and sweet and focused, right? Focused. So you might want to play around with it, right? To get it in a format that you want. I've got to pull up the format that I did a few days ago, and see what changed and so forth. But again, you want to go into that prompt and adjust the prompt to what your needs are, right? And then as you answer the questions, just answer them to what your needs are, but be honest. So you will need to take a few minutes to sit down and really think about where you're at and then where you want to be in 2026. But then once you do that, you'll be able to get this done. Yeah, Cindy, I have used the voice assist in Chat GPT. And actually, one of the things that I'm doing because of the ADHD, and I know we talked, was it last week we covered ADHD? I'm using voice more and more, okay, because it's faster. Opening my phone, I'm like, hey Siri, open notes, and boom, it opens notes. Instead of me opening it and then looking around for the app, I'm giving it commands, because giving it commands, then you don't need to worry about getting distracted, because when we open our phone, we tend to see, oh, there's notifications for this or that, right? And it pulls us away from what we originally went in there for. So yeah, so that's it. So Cindy, you created a business plan last week.
I did not create a business plan, so everything you're saying is fantastic. But my
Cool.
my daughter set me up in Chat GPT voice, and to be honest with you, it went away and I can't find it again, and it was the coolest thing ever. So she's connected me with Spruce, and he's been communicating with me, and I created a report just using that, and it asked me the same questions, and I can't tell you how to do it again. But I can tell you that everything we just did, it prompted me by voice.
Yeah. Yeah. So look, there are some prompts. Like, let me share my screen again. So the big thing is I have a number of prompts pinned to my side. These are prompts that I've gotten from other sources, right? These are all
I didn't
good
mean to
prompts.
get you off track. I'm sorry. You're
No.
talking business plan today.
No, this is all part of it, right? This is all part of it. So there will be other business plan prompts out there. So like I can actually take this prompt and turn it into a GPT that I save on my desktop, and then I can also share with others. The thing that I've recently learned though is as actually they came out with my Listing Buddy 2.0. I was like, oh yeah. I had the first My Listing Buddy, and I went to look. I'm like, oh, it's gone. And I'm like, I'm wondering, well, where there's some other prompts that I had or chats in there or GPT, and they're gone. So when you try to save a GPT that somebody else created, and you pin it to your thing, it could up and disappear at any time because you really have no control of it, because it's still going back through them. Now they may not know what it is that you're putting in there, and they can't read your stuff, but they have control of the GPT. So just know that if you're saving one, it could up and disappear at some point. So You can create your own GPTs. It's really not that tough. I haven't completed my first GPT yet, but I had the instructions, and that's something I'll share with you too. As we go down the road, we'll be bringing in a little bit more AI here and there, just in little bits and pieces, right? So that I don't overwhelm you. Um, but this is an invaluable tool. And if you guys are not using ChatGPT, Grok, or any of these other AI platforms, you're falling behind. You really are. And so I've created some really awesome workflows for Lofty to be able to set buyers and sellers up on that and automate that part of my business. So you can create an assistant with it as well. I mean, it's just all kinds of things that you can do within that. So if you're not familiar with it, get more familiar with it. Just take some time, 15 minutes a day, spending on just learning something new about AI. Okay. So that's because it's not going away. It's going to be there. Maria and Maggie, it's nice to see you guys back on the call. We appreciate you jumping on because this is something very valuable. Sorry you missed the beginning. That is where as you can see here. Am I still sharing? Wait, let me share.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. It's nice to see you again.
Sure, thank you.
Martha invited me, and I'm like, oh yes, I know Paul. I used to be part of the group, but then remember when I had a hard time when you changed to Meet,
Yeah.
and then I couldn't disable something, and you said, Maggie, I'm sorry, but you have to get out.
Oh, that was
Um,
the AI bots. Yes, but
right.
I've got it to where I've got the AI
Oh
bots
my God.
blocked now.
Thank you.
So
Okay. Good.
yeah,
Good.
yeah,
Good.
yeah. So, but as you can see, I shared my screen. All right, this is where you guys came in at the end. But this is the entire process that we just went through. All right, Brian, thanks for being here, man. Hey, take care. This is the process that we went through. Okay, all these different steps, but yet we didn't have to do a lot of things. And here's the prompt. Okay, so as you can see, the prompt is quite lengthy, and it's so important. And you can take this prompt and modify it. Maybe there's some things you really don't need to know about, and maybe there's some additional things that you do want. So it's just a matter of changing this around to be more conducive to your business and your lifestyle and what you'd like to achieve. All right. So again, I will get all this to you. I can probably let me see something here. Oh, if I copy this, I can't do that. I was going to copy it and paste it in, but it just copied the whole thing. All right. So anyway, I will get this in email.
Sorry, after we have our business plan, what do you recommend us do after that? What do you recommend is our next step once we have this beautiful plan that you have created today?
Yeah, so I think after we create the plan, what you want to do is think about what your next steps are for like the first 2 weeks of January. Okay. Um, Maybe implement some things right now, right? You're gonna have to look at where you're at, what you want to do. There are definitely going to be things that you can do now to start the planning. But like I said, you want to start thinking now about January and what you want to do. So you start thinking about your first 2 weeks in January, and you're like, okay, well maybe I want 2 new listings by the second week of January. Okay, great. Now setting up your first 2 weeks of January. Now you have to look at that and say, okay, what do I have to do now to achieve that? All right. So that means that you need to start talking to people now about getting their home listed right after the holidays. And I know that, it's tough to talk people into listing now, during the holidays, but it's not necessarily a bad time to list. I always tell them, look, you get ahead of the curve. There's still people looking during the holidays. These are serious lookers. We have made sales during Christmas, leading up to Christmas. Maybe the week between Christmas and New Year's is a big time to be showing property, because that's when people have time, right? They're off work. They're trying to accomplish things that they need to do. So, that's what you got to look at. So, what I can do is maybe next week, I can talk about some things that you can do in wrapping up the year and setting the first few weeks up in January. And actually, that was one of the things that came out on my business plan, was it talked about that. So there had to be some other information that I input that gave me some different results of what we got here today. Valerie, you got your hand up?
Oops, sorry.
Yeah.
Talking to myself. I had another topic I wanted to ask you to bring up, and Brian disappeared before I had a time to get to him, but it didn't really fit with what we were talking about anyway. I really want to know from him. I don't know if we can give him like 15 minutes next time and ask him what's going on out there with mortgages and what he anticipates, and what from a lender perspective, because I know what I'm seeing. And I know the shutdown has had probably more effect than I really thought it should, but he's got the lender piece of that. So I really, if we could add him in for like 15 minutes or something.
That's a great idea. Yeah, I like to get a market update from him every once in a while, and it has been a while, so we'll add him to the agenda for next week. So maybe next week will be a little bit more of a potpourri.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't want to derail this because this is wonderful. This was pretty awesome. So
Yeah. Well, thank you. And yeah, maybe we'll get an update from Brian. Maybe we'll get an update from Jeremy if he's on board, because he's working title, right? So title's going to see things from another perspective. And then, I can bring in some things that we need to look at in wrapping up the year and setting up our first quarter, because this is the time to do it. Okay. All right, guys. Well, look, any other questions, comments, concerns? I have a meeting right after this, but and then I have an appointment right after that. So I will get this out to you sometime today. All right. I will email it to everybody directly that was on this call. And that way you can run through the process for your own business plan. Okay. And if you need some help with it, reach out. I'm happy to help you out. Do a quick one-on-one. We'll just take a few minutes and make sure that you've got everything you need there to get it done properly. Okay. All right, guys. Well, look, if there's nothing else, anybody, last chance for questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, recommendations.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. It's good to see you guys back on here. Hopefully you'll continue to come on. We're going to continue to keep adding value, and we've got some big things planned for 2026. So please come on back, and look forward to seeing everybody next week. All right.
Bye.
Take care, everybody. All right. We'll see you. All right, Elliot, we'll be on in just a minute.